this other lead story that we're working on, I never thought I'd utter the words, but Amanda Knox is going to be tried in Italy again. I don't think, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I don't think she's going to go to Italy for this one, but I don't know. It is not the murder of Meredith Kercher. That's not what she's going to be tried for. It's slander. So let me back up for a hot minute and just kind of get you up to speed. You probably were following the case as much as everybody else. Like 16 years ago, I think like it was November 2007, the spotlight came on Amanda Knox because she was this lovely looking young student traveling in Italy, and she was hauled in on murder charges for the horrible death of her roommate, who was British, from Britain. Amanda Knox was taken into the police station and accused of killing Meredith Kercher. Kercher was like stabbed 47 times, sexually assaulted, found partially clothed. It was awful. Amanda was acting weird. So was her boyfriend, Raffaello Sollecito. He was acting weird. So the Italian police in Perugia didn't have a good feeling for her right away. And so, big microscope, and they interrogated her for 5 days. There were all sorts of ugly things about the interrogation. She didn't have a proper translator, a lot of pressure, exhaustion. You've heard those stories before. And she signed a statement that they called a confession. And in that statement, and this is key, she pointed the finger at her boss at the bar where she worked, Patrick Lumumba, because she's being interrogated. So she's saying things like, well, maybe it's him. I mean, who knows, right? And ultimately, in this murder, she was convicted, and then the conviction was overturned, and then she was retried and cleared and came back to the United States. There was a lot of back and forth. I don't need to get into all that about the murder, because this is about what she said about the boss at the bar, Patrick Lumumba. Patrick Lumumba sued her for libel, defamation. He said, he was pulled in for it too. He was like jailed for 2 weeks and released and found, that he wasn't part of any of that. But slander was the official charge against her. And she went to trial for slander and lost. And they sentenced her to 3 years, but time served. Sorry, 4 years. So she'd already served the time. Let me look at that again. She spent 4 years in an Italian prison. I believe that the slander was 3 years. And because she'd already served 4, they said time already served. So basically, she came back to the U.S. and thought, well, I've got this guilty verdict in Italy, and I'm going to fight it. And she did. And guess what? She won it. She won the appeal of that. And they threw out the trial verdict for slander. And guess what? They didn't just leave it there. They decided they're going to try her again. Now, I don't know Italian law enough to know if it was just like automatic or if it was some prosecutor there who's decided to go for it. But geez, that ain't smart. But guess what? She's going to have to go through another case, another trial. I don't necessarily think she's going to actually stand in the courtroom for it. I think if I were her, I would not. But I want to bring in Caitlyn Becker, a senior reporter for the DailyMail.com. She's the host of Daily Mail Crime on TikTok as well. Caitlyn Becker, I did not think we would ever utter the words again that Amanda Knox was going to have to go through a trial in Italy. But did I get anything wrong? Did I leave anything out in that very short summary of a very complicated case?
It is an extremely complicated case. I think the key here, Ashleigh, that we need to focus on is that this is kind of what Amanda Knox wants. She appealed this conviction for slander, and they overturned it. So she now has the opportunity to have her name fully cleared. I wouldn't be surprised if she did go to Italy and sit in the courtroom for this, because she's been unequivocally acquitted of the murder of Meredith Kercher. There is absolutely no way she's going to end up back in a jail cell for something like that. And for this particular instance with the slander, she allegedly slandered her boss in the same written confession where she implicated herself. And part of the acquittal was the understanding that she implicated herself because she was not given legal counsel, she was not given a proper translator, and they used some really abusive tactics while interrogating her for those 5 days. So this is going to be her chance to say, okay, you got it right with the acquittal for murder, but now you need to get it right here, because she is saying that she never wrote this confession. She was coerced to do it. What was written on those pages was written by the police, and she was forced to sign it.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.